know that sometimes the president and his team decide to do things on trade that we don't agree. So meanwhile, that's why we
accept them is the question I'm posing to you.
I won't, like I told you, our position of principle has always been to fight against any form of tariffs. And we believe that Canada and the U.S. can benefit even more from free trade. But we're not Boy Scouts or Girl Scouts. We're not naive. We can't be over-dependent on the U.S. And that's why we need to build this domestic capacity. We need to be closer to Europe. We need to make sure that we use defense procurement in a way that we're supporting businesses here at home. I think people watching us must know that we'll continue to fight for every job and fight to get a good deal.
Your opposition contends right now that the opposite is true, that essentially by putting off, for example, levying counter tariffs, by the Prime Minister's display, thanking the President or complimenting him on his world leadership publicly at the G7, that is in fact elbows down, counter to the elbows up message you campaigned on. How do you reconcile those things?
There was nearly no question by the opposition regarding our relationship with the U.S. The vast majority of the questions were not linked to it. They were not even referring to the trade war, much more on EV mandates, which we're working on. So what is fascinating by the opposition is when thinking of what they could have done themselves is I think they would have capitulated. I think that they would clearly have cozied up to the White House.
But that's what your government is doing right now. The Prime Minister is literally thanking the President for his world leadership at a time when the President has abandoned the U.S.'s position as a world leader.
No, I think that
that's not elbows up.
I think that the Prime Minister was in charge of the G7. His job was to welcome the President. He was in a very difficult position. We all know that. All G7 leaders knew that. They were actually thanking Prime Minister Carney for doing the tough job that, you know, not a lot of them wanted necessarily at this time, but it was our year. Canada is in charge of the G7, and therefore Prime Minister Carney was doing the diplomatic work that was required from Canada. I saw that more than ever, countries want to do business with Canada.